What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast, and we are awesome. I am Justin, here with Meals. I don't know what number this episode is. Clearly, this is the
I don't know
wrong.
either, but I feel like we're heading closer to. I feel like we're heading closer to 200. I think that's the big idea.
Yes.
Honestly, between this one, the Lookout, which is also heading to 100, and all this other stuff like that. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not even keeping track of the numbers, but guess what? We're heading there pretty soon. We'll be there this year, and it's going to be a whole bunch of fun. But in the meantime, speaking about a lot of fun, we have a guest on this episode, a very special guest. Now, if there's one thing I can't keep track of is who won what and why and where and when. But I do know that we have the second, shout out first to Donnie, who showed up a couple weeks ago on the podcast. We have the second of our Royal Rumble pool winners finally showing up on the A Show. We want to welcome Curtis, Dr. Curtis, in that fact. I'm going to call you Dr. Curtis the entire episode. So just, it just is what it is.
Yeah, appreciate you. I'm happy to be here. What's good, y'all? I'm happy to hear the drop live too. So, I listen to it all the time on the radio. I mean, on Spotify and all that. So I'm happy to be here. Excited to be here with y'all today. And I was Edge. So I was the Edge Royal Rumble winner, which actually was supposed to be Randy Orton at first. So
wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Listen, Edge came through. I don't know where he is now.
Yeah, well, after Mania, he just disappeared. Like what the hell? But yeah, you are you're an esteemed company. You joined the Miz as part of the A Show guest.
I know.
You joined the Miz. Who else have we had on here? Shayna Baszler, we've had on here before. We've had
Roman Reigns. You remember that? That was a big thing.
Yeah, we did have Roman Reigns before on the show. So you're an esteemed company, my friend.
You might be the only one of those though with like an actual PhD, like someone. You might be the most like the most decorated person on this thing. Could you tell us a little bit about yourself and like how you got into wrestling? How did you find out about the A Show? Like, where are you from? A whole bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to say, don't say that too loud. The tribal chief would beat my ass. But I am, so again, everybody, I'm Curtis, originally from Chicago, Illinois, South Side, Chicago. Currently in Cincinnati, been here for a little bit. So I'm in the middle of Ohio.
I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
No. I said, I'm sorry you're in Cincinnati.
Hey, chill. Cincinnati is dope. A lot of Ohio spots. Like, if you know somebody there, you're good. You're good. So, but I love it here. Actually went to school down in Atlanta. So as you can imagine, that was a switch up. So came from Chicago, Atlanta to Cincinnati. Been in Cincinnati now, where I got my PhD, and I do like research. And so I'm a researcher doing like social justice-y type of work, etc. But I love wrestling, so that's why I'm here. I started watching wrestling a long time ago. It was like one of those things where my pops watched it and my grandfather watched it. And so he was going back way back in the day when they had them little bitty ass stadiums, watching racist ass Hulk Hogan. I'm sorry, I can't say their name. And stuff like that.
You can say it, but you got to put racist ass in front of it from now on.
Oh, okay. But yeah, it's really been like a family thing, a family tradition. Like, as you can imagine, we used to get together on Sundays and all put in money to watch the pay-per-views. I was one of the kids who like had the action figures and stuff like that, and had that terrible wrestling ring, and would make my own pay-per-views. So I've been in this wrestling thing for quite some time, just enjoying it as a fan primarily. And I think I actually fell off when I got to college.
Everyone does. Where was it again?
So I went to college at Morehouse in Atlanta.
Okay, and where did you fall off from wrestling? Like what years?
So that was around around 08, 07, 08, 09, that time.
Fair.
You know what's funny? That's when like everyone falls off of wrestling. Like everybody falls out of wrestling at that point.
Listen.
Yeah, it just got, well, we going there today. We having a conversation, so it just got real white and real dry and boring for me, man. I'm gonna be honest.
Nah, you're right. You're right. It was a bunch of like, I say that generation of wrestlers was like all kind of like came from the whole idea of like Randy Orton, John Cena, Batista. So you couldn't make it unless you were like muscly, oily, white, aggressive guy in trunks who could do. So you had like a bunch of people like that, and quite honestly, the only people who still from that generation who are kind of around are like Miz, Kofi Kingston, and I think Dolph Ziggler, and I think that's it. And no one's really stuck around from that generation because it was like there's nothing to last. There was no, nothing kind of really behind those guys other than like ruthless aggression, whatever that means. I don't know.
Or those random time Kofi Kingston's Jamaican accent comes back.
Right.
But yeah, I fell off around that time also because who was watching wrestling at that time? I couldn't be talking about, sorry, y'all, I can't go to the kickback because I got to watch Monday Night Raw. So, yeah.
It was college was a funny time because like I was still on it, but I had mostly shifted to like ROH and New Japan at that time. I was getting into that a little bit. Like I stopped really following the weekly grind until really like Punk had come back. And or Punk had not came back, but Punk went to WWE. So that's who I followed, and that's who I really liked. And I just kind of would watch it just to wait till his segment came on, and then I kind of check out and just go like text somebody or something like that. But everyone has that moment, and it's so funny that it's always around the mid 2000s, like kind of mid to end, and then after the pipe bomb, everyone came back. Like it's such a crazy.
Yeah, I think it was the same for me. Like I think I actually came back partly when I went to grad school because I ain't had shit else to do, and I was like, well, I got Mondays. I ain't trying to do work, so let me see what they talk about on wrestling again. So it was around like that CM Punk area, etc. But even then, it was sort of like on and off, and so I'm going somewhere with this. I'm long-winded. I'm an academic. Forgive me. And so, like, essentially, I was watching on and off. I definitely wasn't watching Friday Night SmackDown because I was out in the streets. But like on Mondays, I would watch wrestling and on and off. If something else come on, I may not watch it. But I think what really got me back into it was actually when I found like a community of Black people watching it online.
Right.
So Twitter, like people like y'all, I think one of the first things I found too was like wrestle rap and stuff like that. I was like, oh shit, Black people are still watching wrestling? And like they're talking about it in ways that I get it and understand it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like talking about, like saying stuff, it's simple stuff, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, that was lit. Or, like I'll see like a Black woman wrestler fan say like, oh, she got her wig snatched or some shit like that. And it's like, oh, I can fuck with this now. Like, some of the stuff that I was thinking about what's going on in wrestling, I think that's what really helped me get back into it when I could see other Black people and be connected to other Black people virtually about like what's going on in wrestling. I think that's what really sucked me back in for real was like seeing and being able to connect with other Black people virtually online and stuff like that. So yeah, that's my story.
That's important. I mean, people like they kind of like underestimate how important it is to have a shared experience, but also have a shared communication. And I think when you see, and it's a lot of places, or a lot of instances where we're not heard, or people don't understand why certain things are a big deal. And Black wrestling fans, we really come out in force and we really support each other. And I think that's the most the greatest thing about it, regardless of what issues you might have with each other. Like at the end of the day, all the Black wrestling fans support each other, and you seeing your testimonial as a fan and a listener, it means a lot because it's like, it's actually resonating. So it's super important. Let's get into no holds barred for the week. We got to start off with a bummer moment here. Just this past weekend, we found out that Jerome Young, aka New Jack, passed away at the age of 58 from a heart attack. Took everyone by surprise. I mean, he just had a stellar Dark Side of the Ring episode a year and a half ago about, and this was a legend to me. I loved New Jack coming up. I don't know about you guys, but he was one of the first things I saw in ECW on public access TV, Channel 2, back in Norfolk, Virginia. and he was magnetic. You know what I mean? He was a larger than life star, and someone that even though he didn't get the crazy mainstream attention that I felt as though he should have had, he probably didn't want that. He was a guy that was always, and Paul Heyman said on Talking Smack was the best encapsulation of who he was. He was a gangster. He lived like a gangster and died like one. So, yeah, it was sad. I was pretty bummed about it all weekend.
I didn't really, strong part. I've never watched ECW when it was airing, like
Right.
never. Didn't really know it. I got into WWE like maybe like 98, 99. So this is after like ECW invaded Raw and they had that whole thing. They were talking about, wow, thank you, Caribbean guy. Just, stuff in the background. So I never really saw him. So my first actual inkling of New Jack was on wrestling message boards, because everyone would reference the mass transit incident as like one of the most infamous wrestling moments of all time. It was like, is there a much more crazier moment than this? So I really learned a lot about New Jack from then, and I think it got expounded upon on last year's Dark Side of the Ring documentary. Yeah, it's just a sad loss, and we talk about him on the Patreon a little bit earlier regarding just kind of his place and kind of how some things may be right for some, and how it was a lot harder for him. But yeah, I mean, massive loss. Just one of the more infamous wrestlers of that ECW era, who will probably never, as Paul Heyman said, probably never be shown on WWE television.
Nope.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was like, where would New Jack actually fit in WWE? Where would he have fit if that was his decision and he decided to come over? And I can tell you, I can imagine what Vince McMahon would have done back then with New Jack and the do-rags and all that stuff. I feel like New Jack might would have beat Vince McMahon ass for wearing the do-rag, for real.
He cut such a mean promo too. Like, this guy was, in all aspects, he was not the greatest wrestler, but he had it. He had storytelling. He had promo. He, like, when you heard this motherfucker's music in ECW, when you heard it, they just let the shit play. They didn't turn the music off when he was wrestling. They let it play like that. The presentation of a New Jack is just something that we have not seen to this day. Like,
yeah, I agree. I was a big fan. I watched ECW growing up. I even had the ECW Hardcore Revolution game, which was super dope. You just had Sabu jumping off tables, and I had him and New Jack fighting all the time. But I feel like I appreciated it. Going back to, I guess the theme of this episode is like, because he was real. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wasn't John Cena with a spinner belt, but like, he was some dude that you felt like you can walk outside and he would be whooping somebody's ass. And he would also do that in the ring. And I appreciated him for that. And like what he brought to the table. Even I listened, like when I found out, I listened to his theme song on Spotify and stuff like that. Like, man, this goes still. And like, it matched every bit of his personality. And like, even the clips that were floating around on Twitter and stuff like that this weekend were like, man, like you were saying, like, that man can talk. I watched the one where they was floating around. He was talking about oh shoot, what's the dude? OJ? Yep. Like the OJ one. I'm like, man, this dude knew how to get people. Like, and so.
What a legend. R.I.P. New Jack. I want to do a New Jack match rewatch. It'll be like 10 minutes, but we definitely check it out.
Will I be able to watch it? Do you think I'd be able to watch it?
Yeah, you would be able to. New Jack wasn't. Remember, ECW wasn't death matches. It was literally just. It was like New Jack would show up, hit people with Nintendos and guitars. That's all he would do. Some other bummer news, but I don't know how to. I really don't know how to say it. But friend of the pod, The Miz, suffered a torn ACL, or allegedly suffered a torn ACL at Backlash last weekend. One of the zombies must have nicked him.
I'm just thinking in that match, I'm like, what happened? What happened?
It was a move. I think it was a move that Damian gave him. I remember. I can't remember which one it was. I do remember him favoring his knee, but he continued to work the match for like 4 minutes after. It was like really early in the match too.
Bro,
His knee.
he gave the Daniel Bryan running knee in that match, and I was like, "Oh, he in his bag right now." Like that's when you know Miz is in his bag. When he pulling out the other Daniel Bryan finishers. First of all, he won't be able to pull him out anymore because he's not here no more. But he was in his bag. Oh my god! All right, what I would like to say is,
oh god, here we go. Well, before you say that, he'll probably, if it is true, he'd be out from 6 to 9 months. So he'd be out. It's effectively for like the rest of the year.
I need the prognosis. I need to know if it's a minor tear or a major tear or something along those lines. I need to know for my own sake.
Why don't you call him?
We're going. I mean, I'll do what I can. I mean, but 6 to 9 months without the Miz, who would I cheer for? I don't know. Monday Night Raw is bad enough. You know what I'm saying?
Like, Johnny Drip Drip.
Johnny Drip. Johnny Drip. Johnny Drip Drip.
Oh my god, Johnny Drip Drip about to be Johnny Main Event. That nigga's going.
Lord. But this is his first major like injury in his entire 15+ year career, which is insane to believe.
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
This is the only time that he'll be missing an extended amount of time in the ring. So, you know, I hope it's not something like Kobe and shit where it's like, all right, this is kind of the end.
Yeah.
I just compared Miz to Kobe. Yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna let them handle you for that one. Also, you know, it's some really interesting news. Selena Vega, is reportedly coming back to the WWE. She was spotted at the Performance Center filming new content with Simone Johnson, who she knows obviously because she's very close to The Rock, and she was in Fighting with My Family. And you know, it's said that she's making a return. Pause. I mean, you know, what do you guys feel about this?
Damn, for all that, I guess that all of that Andrade talk, it was like, oh my god, you know, meet up on the indies and have her manage you there. It's like she's a whole wrestler. She was a wrestler before she met this nigga, by the way. Like she was a whole person before she met this guy. So yeah, dub that noise. If she's back, by all means, fantastic. We thought she was a great talent. There's a lot of outrage when she left over the whole Twitch thing. She got fired right before Friday Night SmackDown, was streaming on Twitch before SmackDown ended. So, you know,
well, I think that the smoke was clear. I think she had actually stopped streaming on Twitch months ago, back in March. She wasn't streaming anymore. A lot of people thought that was a little interesting. But I think that was kind of like the writing on the wall that she was coming back, was she had stopped doing that. But yeah, I mean, again, I'm glad to see that a lot of people did not really give her a lot of shit for this.
Yeah.
Because I know, you know, this is a company where everyone comes back. That's number one. Number two, if she wants to get a paycheck and Vince wants her back and they've talked about wants to be there, let her go. Like, don't be upset if that's where she wants to go. If she didn't want to go to AEW, listen, there's probably a lot of people in the locker room that don't want to go there. Just be clear. Like, it's not their destination. It's not their story. And like Ramil said about, you know, has said about Ricochet, you know, maybe her story's not done there and she wants to go back and finish her story out there. So, you know, happy for her, and, you know, it is what it is. What do you think, Kurt?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is like, I feel like there are opportunities with her now, because I feel like she was being a valet too much with Andrade and Garza. Like, when she actually got in the ring, I feel like she was pretty good. And we know she can talk on the mic, so I feel like there are hella opportunities for her moving forward. In the women's divisions that needs more bodies and personalities. I think she has a different personality as well. And so I think maybe this is her opportunity to do some more of that, like y'all been saying, like tell more of her story or tell a different part of herself outside of just being someone's manager. So maybe she can lean in more into that wrestler side, into her own individual career. But also, I can't hate on nobody for getting the bag. So
Absolutely.
Sorry, Twitch.
Before break, I wanna talk about this.
has run down and verbally buried the United States. And he's done it with such vitriol in his tone. He's talked about the anger, the argument, the division. And the irony is that Anthony has a visa courtesy of the US DOT. Anthony collects that great green courtesy of the US Treasury. He's afforded all the same rights we all are to do and say what he'd like. That's freedom. That's America.
That's about enough of that. So, last week, you know what's funny? I skipped ahead, skipped around. Anywhere you skip around in the interview, it's all out of pocket. Or that promo is all out of pocket. No matter where you skip, he's saying something out of pocket. I promise you. Bring it up on YouTube and skip around. And anything that he's saying on that is out of pocket. So I just picked the most out of pocket part that I heard at that point. Cody Rhodes did cut what he considers his career-defining promo on Anthony Ogogo, some dude on AEW. Listen to the War Report. You'll probably figure out who that guy is.
He had a promo that just popped up on social that I was like, damn, this is good as fuck. Like, this is I don't know why Cody is feuding with him. Don't get me wrong. I don't know. Cody just be slumming it up with the guys. Blood feud, but he had a really good promo, like really, really good one to respond to this shame of a thing. But go off.
So, this will be sorry if this offends, which I'm pretty sure that promo offended everyone, and what we're going to say won't. Cody's dropped one of the most nonsensical, tone-deaf, insane, I guess, examples of a jingoistic and, ultimately badly timed promo in a world where just a month ago, we saw how the divide can cause black men like ourselves to be afraid of a jury verdict for something that we all knew what was wrong. We live in a country that we are nearly, at the time of this promo, a month away from the year's anniversary of, a black man passing from, George Floyd. And we're completely divided, especially after an election that divided us all, a disease, a pandemic that's also dividing us further from wealth, pay gaps, racial gaps, all of that. For him to even bring up, what has he brought up? There's a laundry list of things he brings up in the promo. Obviously, you heard the green card stuff, which again, immigration, once again, another thing that divides us. Brings up race, another thing that divides us. Brings us American dream, which is something that I'm sorry, it's not 1995 anymore. That's just it's not real. And we know it's not real. For him to not only say that promo and feel safe to say it, but to also defend it vehemently on social media afterwards proves the divide and the reasons why I cannot watch that show. I just can't. Because that guy's behind it. And let's be clear, I know where Vince McMahon's putting his money. I know where Linda McMahon's putting her allegiance. They ain't coming out there and telling us that shit, though. They're not telling us our faces about that shit. I'm sorry. Wrestling, and again, we always have to preface everything with wrestling is shitty. The shit that we're watching is bad and it's carny. And there are people like Cody. Cody's not the only person in that backstage area that feels that way. But I think that he said the loud parts, or he said the quiet parts out loud last Wednesday. And in the promise and in the support of an angle that after he wins against this guy, which he probably will, double or nothing, that it's going to go away. This guy said this with an American flag skull tattoo on his neck, looking like a fucking member of Leonard Skinner. It's bad. It's terrible. And I think Cyrus said it best. You're at a point where if a black person says they don't like AEW because they're black, don't question it. Because that promo is the reason why they're saying it.
I have nothing more to say. I think he said it just perfectly. Seriously. Because that promo, he was out of pocket. Everyone kind of looked at it and was just like, are we really doing this right now? Do you feel empowered by having a black wife? Is that what empowers you?
I got texted this thing as it was going on. I don't watch this shit. I was like, wait, niggas is mad about zombies?
Niggas is mad about zombies, by the way.
Screaming about fucking zombies? You had a nigga All Lives Matter Us on Wednesday? The fuck out of here, man.
And then the guy in the crowd with the Black Lives Matter shirt.
God.
That was my favorite part. I was like, yo, they had him queued up. Yeah, no.
Yeah, I think you captured it. As a resident sociologist today, I was like, okay, he getting off all the checkpoints, but I think it was crazy. I think one of the things I don't watch that show either for pretty much the reasons you said, and the reason we've been talking about is it's just hella white. Is really that he's using that sort of colorblind. We are in a post-racial society. I can't wait for my black and white daughter to grow up in, literally, he was talking about growing up in states that are literally discriminating against black people, trying to, literally right now, as it relates to voting rights and a number of other things. I'm like, bro, this is not doing what you think it's doing at all. And to be honest, it seems like it fit with the crowd that he was catering to. Like, when I watched the YouTube clip, all them niggas was clapping. They were like, yeah, this is America right here. This is my America. This is what I want to see. Let's stop talking about race. And I think someone else said on Twitter too, so I was like, bro, we can't be doing this America's the best place in the world and nowhere else shit no more in 2021. We know that's not the case. America continues to show its ass to both residents and be imperialists and colonizers everywhere else in the world. So we don't got nothing as a entity to sort of like hold over anyone else, especially if someone from another place. I think old boy's from England, right?
Yeah, he's from England.
I feel like them niggas got good health care. What we got over here? Like, bro, like that would have been that should have been a response from him. He'd be like, you niggas don't got good health care. Like, oh, yeah. Oh, shit.
He legit said that in the promo. He was like, there are people, Americans dying in the streets and being trapped in cages and all this other stuff like that. You're trying to tout up your like, it was a great promo. Like, this Anthony Ogogo promo was, I wrote it on Twitter just earlier before we started recording, but I was mad that the camera guy didn't start panning in closer on him, because there were like 3 other people standing next to him and none of them mattered after that promo. Like, none of them. It was incredible. So yeah, it
was definitely white privilege on display in that presentation. Like, and I think the thing that sucks about it is I'm assuming he's supposed to be the good guy in this feud. Is that what I'm getting from this?
Yeah.
And the thing that strikes me more about the Cody thing is that, like, we don't know what side he's on. So he keeps saying that, like, even though they have even though we have our warts and all, he said like warts and all, and it was just like, nigga, what are the warts, Cody? Tell us. What are the warts, Cody? Let us know. But of course, what can we expect from somebody when someone shows you who they are, you fucking believe it. You absolutely believe it. But yes, after the break, we're gonna talk about we're gonna jump on a little bit of backlash talk, a little bit of predictions as to what's coming up, and we're gonna talk about a terrible show on Raw that I don't want to spend more than
what? Wow, we have a different thing about this show, but I agree. I kind of agree.
I hated Raw this week, but after the break on the A Show, we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about the show. So we'll be right back.
30 years ago, we would have been strung up in somebody's tree, getting hung for beating 2 white boys the way we just did. But now, you might want to come out here and put some belts on us, but the only belts we gonna be wearing around here is a tag team belt. Let me tell you something. I don't like being up here. I was getting out of my car, I slipped and fell. It's a tobacco spit. And you know what I'm saying? Nothing but rednecks up here. Nothing but geeks up here. Nothing but coal miners up here. Chicken farmers, Klansmen. I don't like nobody but my partner. You understand? I don't care who you line up in front of me. I'm going to show you how bad New Jack and Mustafa is. You want to talk about violence? Violence to you might be putting somebody in a figure 4. Violence to me is taking a can of gas and pouring it on you and setting you on fire. Like me or not, I didn't come up here to be liked. I came up here to get paid. And whoever you put in front of me, I'm going to drop you down. I like to send a special shout out to my homeboy, O.J. Simpson. Keep up the good work, baby. 2 less we got to worry about.
Yo, first of all, if you told me the first like 95% of that promo was like in 1968, I would have believed you. But then the OJ thing is just, yeah.
It tips it over. It puts it over the top. Shout out to New Jack. Rest in peace, New Jack. Thank you for that promo. Thank you for everything you've done for us. However, we got to talk about WrestleMania Backlash. Last Sunday, we had a Twitter Spaces on Sunday. Shout out to Dion for hosting that for us, and shout out to everybody who showed up. We talked a little bit about Backlash. I stayed on for a little bit. It was a pretty lengthy one.
A lot about a Backlash, but it was beautiful. It was beautiful. We found out that New York people like myself, we don't rate matches. Shout out to everyone who don't rate matches.
So would you like me to stop asking you to predict matches and doing stuff like that because you don't rate them?
I'll be honest with you. I'm gonna keep it incredibly candid on this podcast. After I predict matches, I don't even remember who I predicted once the thing is over. I don't remember. I kind of it's a real feeling type of thing. But I can predict matches. Rating matches, nah.
Oh, wow. See, look, Top's coming after your ass already. But I thought WrestleMania Backlash was a good show. Dr. Curtis, what did you think about WrestleMania Backlash?
I enjoyed it. I almost forgot about it, but I enjoyed it. I think it was really good. Like I like the new style of pay-per-views they do where they don't try to put like 17 matches and it'd be like 4 hours. But I like that it's like really good quality, solid matches, maybe like 5 or so. But from top to bottom, I pretty much enjoyed it. I feel like maybe the one I was least interested in was the opening match. But overall, I thought it was a really good show. And Roman Reigns continues to show why he's like just on another level right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought that the main event was fantastic. I don't want to spend too much time on the zombies, but that seems to be the only other thing that they're talking about. But coming out of this show, obviously SmackDown was like a go home show. Not much happened. I think a lot of stuff that's going to happen on SmackDown's happening this week, but we did have a tag title change. They finally gave it to Natty and Tamina. Whoop-de-doo, right?
No, I mean, Tamina's been waiting for a long ass time. Like we talk about people who like you get it when you get it. She had to. She waited a long ass time to get her tag team title. So God bless her is all I'll say. She deserves it for being around as long as she is, and not having a championship because God knows who would have left and done what and everything. Yo, these cops still after me for that damn thing. But I mean that wasn't. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I feel like although they're not the most exciting duo, like it was really nothing else they can do. Nia and Shayna literally beat everybody like 5 times already, and so I feel like this at least freshens it up. So now we can see Tamina versus the other 4 tag teams they have in the women's division. But yeah, I was excited that Tamina at least got some shine because I actually thought that. Well, I hoped that she would have beat Bayley last year, when they was having that rivalry, and she can finally get just a belt and then maybe lose it the next night. But I'm excited for her. She got the championship, and hopefully now they can build some new rivalries amongst other people, and Shayna can go back to feuding as a singles competitor.
I hope so. Lord, I hope so. If you remember, like this tag team was spun off of the idea that Shayna and Nia were going to feud a year ago. And it never happened. And it just became tag team partners. It's so weird. So after the SmackDown side of Backlash, there's a lot of questions, right? So Roman beats Cesaro. Cesaro gets beat down by Seth at the end of the show. It leaves a large gap for what Roman could do going into Hell in a Cell, which surprisingly is not in October this year. It's in June. So next month we get Hell in a Cell.
Do you feel like that was a good switch? Do you feel like that's a good healthy one, considering that we've been we've kind of known the beats of what they've done over the last like decade or so, but do you feel like moving Hell in a Cell to June is a good decision?
I do, because everyone loves a good shakeup. I think that as jarring as it might have been for us, and I thought Hell in a Cell was a good October pay-per-view. That kind of like the scary kind of thing going on with it, but that's a good switch up. I like the tagline "Hot as Hell" or whatever they said it was. And I mean, if they are going to be doing a lot of big things in the fall, why not bring it up? I think it's also something where it's like it's happening in June. People are definitely going to watch it because there's not a lot of big events before SummerSlam in June. Hell in a Cell in June makes it a must watch because like, oh shit, they're doing it earlier, and that's usually a show everyone will watch anyway, depending on the card. So I think it's a good switch.
Do y'all think they moved it because they kind of didn't know what they was going to do with Money in the Bank last year, so they didn't want to do it so early this time around?
I think they're going to have crowds is the idea for July. So I think I said a couple weeks ago, do it in WWE Tower again. I don't think they're going to do that. I believe they're probably going to do it in front of crowds, which would mean that they're bringing, because Money in the Bank is a marquee pay-per-view for them every year in the summertime. So they want to treat it as such, test the crowds out for the pay-per-views next month, and then do it in SummerSlam the month after. So it does make sense.
And I feel like just spinning off of WrestleMania on these major feuds, it's good to build up to something. Like you didn't really have anything. I think the summer itself was kind of like it was a long time between WrestleMania and SummerSlam, and you were like, okay, we're building up to SummerSlam, but you had to get through like 3-4 pay-per-views before you even get there. Now you kind of have this stopgap of like, okay, we can cap off a lot of things here and maybe start something new leading into SummerSlam. So I think it's a great idea.
Where's Roman gonna go?
Roman Reigns. Ugh.
Here's my thought.
I don't know.
Here's my thought.
Book the territory.
If Roman's not going to main event, he always main events. If he's not going to main event, he shouldn't be in a match at all. I think he should be in a marquee match, but he shouldn't be in a match at all. So I don't see a feud where realistically he needs to be in Hell in a Cell. I know people keep saying Roman and Jimmy in Hell in a Cell for parallels. I don't think that's a good idea. We don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like if you do it again, you risk the chance of it being stale with him beating up another brother. I think that if you do Jimmy and Jay, not in a cell, but in a match with Roman in the corner, and there's some type of stipulation, that's exciting, and it doesn't have to be main event. What was that?
That's a lot of super kicks, baby.
Absolutely,
that's a lot of super kicks.
And we got
watching Jey Uso versus Jey Uso, like.
But we have 5 weeks to get them to a point where they are adversarial, and I think that that's a heart-wrenching story of brother versus brother. You know, with the cousin there looking over them. I think that's great on its own, but I think that the 3 cell matches should be. I don't know how we get there. Charlotte Rhea will probably be one of them. Cesaro Seth seems to be literally earmarked to be one of those cell matches, if not the main event of that night. And you could have Bobby and Drew in the cell, and those are your 3 cell matches.
I hope we get 2. I don't need 3. I don't need 3 Hell in a Cell matches. Give me 2.
Yeah. We have 2
strong ones.
We had 2 last time, right?
I feel like we had 3 because you had 1 for the women, and I think you had 2 for the men. I think you had Drew versus Orton, Sasha versus Bailey, and then you had Roman versus Jay. But that one had the I Quit type of feel to it. So they had 3, but like, yo, give me 2. Like, relax. 1 for the men, 1 for the women's. Have Cesaro and Seth, like, I don't know, throw a street fight. I don't know, something. I don't know if that one warrants a Hell in a Cell match, but hey.
How do y'all feel about Cesaro and Seth back at it again? I mean, I guess they weren't finished after that match, but that didn't excite me at the end of the show. Like, I was just like, we going back? I guess. All right.
I understood it because Roman's done for Cesaro for now, but they don't. It feels as though, and I mean, it feels as though they don't want Cesaro out of the main event. They don't want him out of the upper card.
What do you think? What do you think about a triple threat between Roman, Seth, and Cesaro? What do you think about that?
That's a cell match to me. That would be a cell match to me. That would be a good cell match. It would be a return to Seth and Roman, which we want to see. I don't know why people want to see it. They're both heels, but I think they just want to see them as their current characters face off against each other, even though it wouldn't make any sense. Yeah. Like one of them would have to turn, and we don't want it to be Roman, and Seth is fine where he is. So I think adding Cesaro there as the baby face against these 2 heels actually makes him look a lot cooler. Again, it wouldn't blow off that Seth feud like it feels like they want to do, and it looks like Roman's just done with Cesaro. Like he just he beat Cesaro without help.
He did.
That's as definitive as you can get it. Jay didn't even come like at least KO. He got cheated every single time he lost. He was cheated. This time Cesaro just got lost.
Roman Reigns turned into Dean Malenko. on Sunday. I was
Yeah,
like, this man had 1,000 hoes. Like Cesaro was literally turning red. I was like, oh shit, damn Roman.
he was putting that boy to sleep, boy. I'm telling you. So, what do you think? What do you think, Mills Curtis? What do you think? Like, do you think Roman gets a match, or do you think he sits this one out? He's been working pay-per-views consistently since like August or September.
I feel like he sees a cell and is like, nah, not this time. Just nah. I'm good. Y'all figure that out. Let me know who at SummerSlam I'm facing. But that cell, nah, we're not doing that again. Have them fighting the cell.
I agree. I think it makes the most sense to have Jimmy and Jay fight and him on the outside, like with some random ass stipulation attached to it. I think that makes the most sense, like from a storyline purpose, and like to give Roman that break off as well too. So, especially while they warm up somebody else, because I think I asked y'all this on the Patreon too. I was like, who beats Roman besides Edge? Like,
I don't. It's got Edge. It's got to be Edge, yo. It has to be Edge. It literally has to be. He didn't get pinned. He wasn't the one that was like, we got pinned, but he wasn't like pinned. Like Brian was pinned. Like it has to be.
I don't know, man. They were pinned.
Yeah.
Both of them. Charlotte tried to do that too. I was like, get your ass out with your thieving.
But it has to be, right? Because Edge never got the 1-on-1. He's been gone for a while. There's literally no one else on SmackDown. Alistair's coming back as a heel. Like it doesn't. There's nobody that could do that right now.
You asked earlier why he was gone. That's why he's gone, because he got embarrassed. He got doubled up.
A grown man on top of him. Ugh, what the hell? But yeah, let's mercifully get into Raw. I didn't like this episode, and I think it's because of how the episode started.
That's crazy considering how much you like matches, and that this show kind of had like a lot of like actual good encounters, despite the results of them.
I liked the matches. I don't think I had an issue with I didn't have an issue with the ending of Asuka Charlotte but I think that it should fly in the face of the people that were so concerned about Asuka that they did this, because they are still keeping Asuka in the mix and they're still giving her really strong wins. That it's like, I wouldn't, like I said, like Asuka don't got nothing to worry about, but it is weird that they gave her a win back. I was like, you could have
because it felt like not like a meaningless win, but a win for the sake of like, all right, well, we got to keep her in the picture somehow. But it didn't really feel like a win that was like, okay, Asuka's like really, I don't know, at the top. It didn't really feel like that, like a definitive like, damn, Asuka's really like killing it right now, because she just lost like 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
Over the last week.
She had to lose to Rhea because that's who you're going. That's who's next. I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't mad at that.
No, I'm not mad at it at all. I understand all of it. I'm not mad at any of the Asuka losses, but even this win is like, okay.
It's a win that's like, you got to have Charlotte. You got to have Charlotte have that what is it? The adversity to get to that title match with Rhea, which is clearly what they're doing, but also Asuka, because I mean the thing, it's hollow because Asuka is essentially in the back of the line. You know what I mean? She's gotten 3 chances at this and she failed. So she's got to go do something else at this point. But she beat Charlotte, so it's like, are they gonna run a triple threat again in a cell?
I feel like they were, to me, it felt like maybe this was like to still have Asuka feel like a threat. But to me, it felt like it was like, oh yeah, Asuka's not really the center of this, because also Rhea came out to like do that mean stare she does at Charlotte. So it felt like it was more so like Asuka was just like a pawn or a play, so they can say like, oh, Asuka's still good, and maybe we can do something with Alexis.
Right. It's like, I don't want to say it's similar. I don't want to say it's the same thing. It's very, very similar to the main event of Raw.
Mm-hmm.
Like ultimately Kofi Kingston, WWE, it was an open challenge, so I completely get it. But like, he's in a feud with the RK Bros. Like, so it's like, really, where does he lie? But he gets a win over the champion nonetheless. And you see Asuka get a win over Charlotte nonetheless. And it's kind of like, wait, but we just spent the last couple weeks saying that they not even, I don't know. Yeah. The Asuka Charlotte thing was just weird to me, but it was a good match. But I also am over the Asuka versus Charlotte matches because they've kind of ruined the luster around that match. It kind of happens every other week or so.
It's become Sasha Charlotte from like 2017 or whatever. Like it become that. Like we've seen it so many times, and now that match actually seems fresh because they've been away from each other for so long that I would love to see that too. You spoke of Kofi. There was a lot with Kofi, RK Bro. I again, man, RK Bro is a really compelling storyline on this show. And week in and week out, it's like now we're starting to see the Riddle kind of joining in to help out Randy, and that like what's he gonna do? And I think that when they eventually have their match, it's gonna tear the roof off.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Riddle? It felt like he was kind of turning too when he pushed Woods.
Yeah. I like that sometimes WWE doesn't get that you have to have a wrinkle every week, and this could have essentially ended like it ended last week with Riddle looking in the ring looking confused, but it didn't, and that's what I enjoyed about it. Where it's like Riddle actually did get emotional and defended Randy, in a way where it's like, yo, like this is my boy, you know what I mean? And I thought that it was a really cool kind of reversal of fortune there, and it's making me wonder, like will Riddle turn heel? Will he stay face? What's he gonna do? Who's he gonna stay true to?
I think he stays face, to be honest with you. I know that was a rhetorical question, but I think he stays face. Just because it's a lot more interesting that way, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, I mean, I understand pushing it. I understand him pushing Xavier and Kofi just for the fact of like how they won that match. He seemed to be very frustrated with a lot of things, and he's trying to prove a point to Randy, but then they end up proving Randy's point, and now he's getting mad about it. So yeah, like you said, WWE doesn't think of a lot of wrinkles every week, but this week they got the wrinkle right.
in a show filled with fucking wrinkles. That one,
yeah, absolutely.
Out. But Kofi would end up being weaved into the championship storyline with Bobby Lashley coming out with a bevy of beautiful women. Did they call the
Woo! Woo! Hold up, let me pull up the clip.
Streets is calling.
Hey man, it was some stars in that ring. Okay,
listen. Let me see if I can find this damn clip. Hold on.
That thing moving right now.
That's the first thing.
All right, producer, please boot Meals. Get him out of the chat. Hey man, they were nice. Bobby was
they were the highlight of Raw. The highlight of Raw. Listen, I sent you the picture. You was like, "Yo, wait a minute, hold up." I turned on Raw. I was a couple minutes late. I was like, "Wow, they cooking with grease on this episode." Hold up now, wait a minute.
This was a very 2021 version of like what we would have seen from wrestling, like even 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
Absolutely.
Like and associates. Like I was like, hold on. Is that a BB? No. Okay. Yeah.
Oh wow. What do y'all? Wait, what y'all think Vince said when he saw him?
Did you see the thing behind that one?
That thing.
Did you see that one?
God damn! Did you see the ass on that one? Yeah.
Tampa. You sure these from Tampa?
Pal, what's the OnlyFans thing?
Vince definitely dapped up MVP. He definitely dapped him up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we know MVP picked him. Because we didn't. Bobby didn't pick him for sure.
That's that real. Oh yeah, we know Lashley was like, "Get away from me, ill." Ill.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it led to Bobby having an open challenge. He told Drew McIntyre, of course, who came out wanting the challenge. He said, "No, not you, Drew," which led to him making an open challenge.
I liked a lot of people recognizing the open challenge throughout the night. I thought that was a great look.
You're really trying to make me rethink this, huh?
I actually did enjoy it too.
Sheamus, I was like, Sheamus in his hat. He's like, brother, my I can't do Irish accents. Neither can Ricochet, by the way. Neither can Ricochet, but that didn't stop him on Raw. But he was like, gosh, I'm not gonna do it. No, I can't do Irish accents. I need to listen to Sheamus more. But yeah, he was like, yo, I'm missing the title on my shoulder. I kind of want another one. Open challenge tonight. Damian Priest, he lays out John Morrison in a traditional lumberjack match. And he calls out for the open challenger tonight, and a through line through Raw. I like when they make people pay attention to the show. It's something that's rarely done.
So I will say I had mixed feelings. Like I love exactly what you were talking about. I was like, okay, I would watch that match. I would watch like Sheamus and Bobby again. I would watch Damian Priest and Bobby, Retribution, for the group formerly known as Retribution and Bobby. I would watch all of those people together. I feel like it was a little bit anticlimactic with just Kofi showing up. Like, it didn't feel like a struggle. Like, all those people were just declaring. And then I guess it was just like, oh, shit, my music coming up first.
I fully expected Kofi to get his ass whooped on his way to the ring. Like,
same.
But it's like, for all the people that declare, what determined that they were able to go, or Kofi was able to leapfrog them? Because he didn't even mention that he wanted to do that.
Exactly.
The greatest mysteries of pro wrestling, bro. The greatest, it's the open challenge. It's whoever's music is pushed or cued first, I guess. It's one of the greatest.
He must have slid the truck a 50 or something like that. And he just put his music on. He ends up winning the match. I thought the match was actually pretty solid. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought Kofi was working on Monday. I thought the Randy match was really good, and I thought the match was really good. He ends up rolling up Bobby Lashley in a rare Bobby Lashley pinfall loss.
Listen, you saw that, right?
Like his third, maybe in the last year, maybe second in the last year. I mean, does Kofi get a championship? Does Kofi get? Because he's in another.
You didn't have to. No, you didn't have to. You didn't have to. The old, gaspy ass laugh to that. Yes, Kofi will get a championship shot. What do you mean? Will Kofi get him?
I was just about to say, Mills, I now understand why Justin didn't like Raw, because he's anti-Kofi. Us, the listeners, remember. We remember.
All right.
I think the debut of SmackDown on Fox is one of the greatest wrestling events that he ever seen in his life.
Talk to him.
But listen.
Oh, New York.
But after watching 9 months of Bobby Lashley beating down black people, he finally gets his just due. And I don't know. It was something that I thought Justin would appreciate, but I guess he can't. He can't overpower the Kofi thing.
Oh, no. Kofi's definitely getting his ass beat, like, very, very soon. Like, I think it's going to be, like, as much as I hate to admit it, I would love for them to have another long-form match, even at the next pay-per-view. But I think what's actually going to happen is, like, Kofi get in there and get that work put on him, like, immediately. Like, it's going to be another Brock Lesnar situation, unfortunately. Because Drew won't be around, and I'm going to be sad, and then we all have to hear Justin on the podcast talking shit again.
Are we tired of Drew McIntyre in the title picture? I saw somebody say that.
Yeah.
On Raw.
Agree.
If he was on SmackDown, I'd be like, wait a minute. Now we cooking with grease. Now we killing right now.
With grease? If you show up with Roman, we cook with grease?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we are. I'd like, it would be something different. It would be the greatest threat to Roman Reigns' WWE Championship.
So,
bar none.
So I pose a question here to you guys. Damian Priest defeated Morrison, which is probably a forced write-off to that feud. I absolutely think Miz was supposed to have another lumberjack match on Monday, but he couldn't. What do you think is next for Damian Priest? I saw somebody say U.S. title. I'm not too convinced that that's the direction. I wouldn't be mad, but I don't think that's the direction for Damian Priest. One thing that Raw is doing, and I'll say this like as one positive to the show, is that they have guys, even if they're not going after belts, they have guys in feuds, that don't have to revolve around a title. But I don't agree that with the way that Priest has been pushed in the positions that he's been put in for the past 5 months, that U.S. title is his ceiling right now. I think he might be Bobby's summer feud after the Hell in a Cell.
I don't know. I really don't know, to be honest with you. He's had this high profile feud. It seemed like he came in for this high profile feud, especially the one against Bad Bunny. The one with Bad Bunny. And, now that he's wrapped it up, I honestly still don't see Bobby, but I kind of feel like, I don't want to say United States Championship because I feel like that's like easy.
He's above,
but it might. But it might be. I mean, it might be. It's a good introduction. Is he above it? I mean, did he win the North American? Yes, he was a North American champion on NXT. I feel like that's his lane. Like that's his kind of like his jam. It's like these great mid-card matches. We have yet to see him kind of ascend to the next level type of deal, but just a continued show that he can work and get across these things with different characters and stuff like that. I still think he has a lot to prove before we get him in the ring with Bobby, and Bobby just starts full Nelson in that man into oblivion. You know?
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I feel like he needs like that one more major feud to really show. Like I feel like this one was
like the Finn match, like the Finn match that he had in NXT.
Exactly. Yeah, I think like he needs one that's more serious too. Like I feel like this one was hella goofy. Like it was helpful for him to like start to showcase his personality and even some of the in-ring stuff. But like that match yesterday, I think it was good, but also it got lost in Lumberjacks and Sid and Shelton and John Morrison doing hella flips, like, and I think got lost in that, like, just his ability in the ring, like, unless she was actually looking for it. So I feel like he needs one more that's just like, nah, bro, I just want to be better. I don't want to prove I'm better than you. Let's fight, and let me prove that I'm better than you. And then he go to Bobby.
What about Dijak?
I mean, anybody versus Dijak for me is a winner.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, right. Yeah, right.
You need to start building Dijak, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree with that. We talked about Ricochet versus Sheamus. I was like, fantastic match. Let me tell you, okay. But why the fuck are we protecting Sheamus? Why, bro?
I don't really have an answer for you, to be honest. It's one of those weird things. I guess, you know, they want to make the championship seem strong and not have people losing all the times, but I really don't know. Like, to me, especially after Sheamus hurt his leg, it made all the sense in the world that it was over.
Yeah. I mean, Ricochet, but one thing I can say about Ricochet, there's been a question constantly on this show. Where is he going? What is he going to do? He changed his look. He's wearing jeans now, or he's wearing athletic pants. I'm not mad at his look. I think his look. I think he looks cool. He needs a little bit more of a visual flourish. I think he needs a new theme song. I don't think I've ever been a fan of Ricochet's theme song before, but I do think that, again, it's like it's a situation where with Ricochet, he has I don't know. I think that I don't know. I think that there's a lot of upside to Ricochet, obviously, but it's like it becomes an issue where you know, with him, you have to learn how to boost his character and stuff like that, and they're starting to do that. But it's like with matches like this, it's not hard to see why he's so good, but it's like we need a little bit more. So like, as much as I was like, why the fuck are we protecting Sheamus? I was like, okay, but Ricochet's back on TV, right? Yeah. And he's doing 20-minute matches, like, and it matters.
Yeah, I really feel. I guess my issue too with even like with Ricochet being back on TV was like, so who is he still? Like, is he just like funny guy Ricochet? I'm gonna steal your code and make fun of you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are we actually doing here? What if he was to win? What's next? You had a great match. You stole his code, but what's your personality outside of like this individual feud with Sheamus?
I like the Ricochet match, man. Like, this is like one of those matches that I think, especially like considering everything for the last couple of weeks where he's been on WWE Main Event, has been recording his own promos, has been doing all that kind of stuff, it kind of really proved that this man still got it. Like, he's still like, he deserves to be on Monday Night Raw, to be honest with you. And it's kind of weird that they don't even feature him when you have someone that talented. You have someone who needs to fill up that amount of time, like 15 minutes in a match, just out of nowhere on Monday Night Raw. And I even think, I mean, we thought he was going to win that match. And to be honest, he should have fucking won the match. But listen, I hope that this is a trend in the right direction for Ricochet. I hope that we kind of see him a lot more on Monday nights, especially after the performance he had last night.
Yeah, for sure. That's it for Raw.
Yeah.
Unless there's anything else that I missed. Oh, there was another Drew Gulak match where he lost, but I mean, there's not much news there.
Yeah. There isn't much news.
didn't like the show. But yeah, so thank you guys for listening. But before we leave, we got to shout out some new patrons. Have you pulled them up, Mills?
I pulled them up. Yes,
right.
I do. I'm gonna shout out first of all. If we did this already last week, Chris Mack, you're just gonna get another shout out again because we love you, Chris. So thank you for subscribing to the Patreon. We also have Henny Omega. Shout out to you, Henny Omega. Listen, long-time listener, long-time fan. Thank you for subscribing. Then we have Slat Hugo, who is
That's Hugo, our bud.
Yeah, that's my boy. I've known him for years, so I appreciate you signing up for the Patreon, brother. Jimmy Francis, shout out to you. And of course, Van from the Black Variant. Make sure you guys listen to the Black Variant every week on the RNC Radio live feed. So yes, for sure.
Absolutely. And we want to thank Curtis, Dr. Curtis, once again for being on the show. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, appreciate y'all for having me. I enjoyed the time being able to sit around talking some wrestling with y'all, some good laughs. Look forward to seeing y'all one day. I've actually been to Wally Mania before, so maybe I'll see y'all in the future at one of them joints.
Oh, absolutely.
We can catch up.
Absolutely. As always, thank you guys for listening to the A Show. Some things coming down the pipeline for you guys. I think we're going to have spot callers with Ultima Lucha 3. That'll be for the Patreon. So make sure you sign up for the Patreon and listen to that. It's going to be me and Cyrus and a special guest reviewing that show. We also have the War Report with Cyrus and Kwan as well. And we have Mills, you got a top secret project. We want to announce that next week, or?
I'll announce it next week. I think what I want to do is I want to start recording. I want to get at least one episode in the can before I announce it. But yes, we have a special project that's Patreon heavy at this point. So make sure you guys sign up to the Patreon because it should be coming within imminently this new venture. So yes.
Absolutely. So for Mills and Dr. Curtis, I'm Justin. See you guys next week. Be safe, wear your masks, and wash your hands. See you later.
Done for the long talks, send you on a long walk. I got a lot on my mind, things that I'm going through. Don't wanna talk to you, way too involved with you.